Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Foxy98 here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of my F1 2020 My Team career mode for you guys today here on the channel. Today we're here for the Dutch Grand Prix, and I'm really looking forward to today's event, as it is definitely my favourite circuit on the calendar. And I can't wait to get driving around there. But firstly, as you would have just seen, we do have to take a 5-place grid penalty for today's race due to having to change my gearbox heading into this weekend. We start things off with a press interview with good old Will Buxton. And I wonder what you're going to be asking me, because it better be something that we actually care about. Otherwise, we are going to have to move away.
Here we are in the HQ of our newest Formula 1 team. We've got an awful lot to talk about, so let's jump straight in. Now let's talk about that new sponsor. How did that relationship come about?
I was amazing at everything that I do, and they were desperate to be with me. That's close enough, I guess.
Isn't it safe to say you focused heavily on driver development?
No, because I had a young driver who I could have developed, and I got rid of him.
When you're one of the top teams, do you feel like there's less pressure? Or even more?
Probably even more pressure, because everyone complains about my AI difficulty.
Your team's had their first win in Formula 1. Is this a sign of things to come?
No, because clearly I'm going to have to up my AI difficulty to a standard that I can't race on to then, not win.
Will your team be going for the Constructors' Championship this season, or just for points?
If I lower the AI difficulty a bit more, then I'll take the Constructors' Championship, but for now, we're going to go for podiums.
And thanks so much, as ever, for your time. It's hugely appreciated.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate it. Once again, as you could tell then, I was making some jokes. So if you took any of those jokes very seriously, just don't. Okay. Anyway, if you end up enjoying today's video, though, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well. And, oh, surprise, that was an R&D upgrade that failed. Shocker. It was the major rear downforce upgrade that I wanted on the car for this race, and surprise, it's not on the car. Fantastic. But, of course, we have got our chassis upgrade coming very shortly for the fuel tank positioning. No, we don't. It just failed. Great. So, both my major upgrades that were set to come onto the car for this weekend have failed. That is genuinely fantastic. It really drives me nuts. I think I've done 2 build quality control upgrades, and they still fail on like 19% failure, and they do. And it's actually annoying, because if they went onto the car, I could have then gone for my gearbox upgrade, because no matter what, I need to get a gearbox upgrade on the car, because after 4 rounds, the gearbox got to 80%. So it's clear to me that I have to get a gearbox upgrade on the car. Same with the ICE. The ICE is also, I need a major upgrade on there as well. I am focusing on durability, believe it or not. I do need to get that invested. It's just a pain in the backside when my performance upgrades that I need to get onto the car fail, because then it delays my durability then. It's just a pain in the backside. But as you can see, looking at the R&D chart though, we are the 3rd fastest car on the grid. I don't think we were 3rd fastest car to start with. I can't remember actually, if I'm being perfectly honest. But we've just completed practice now, and we're going to get ready to go to qualifying. But before we do that, we are going to go ahead and ignore repairing the chassis upgrade that failed, and I'm going to go ahead and get the durability upgrade on for the gearbox. Now I can either rush it to get it before Monaco, or I can get it just after Monaco before Canada, and I'm going to go with that because I haven't done as many quality control upgrades, and as you can tell, everything on my bloody car fails anyway, so what's the point? I might as well just wait and, just let that roll out. If I've got to take some grid penalties here or there before then, I'm happy to do that. Obviously, it's fine for me to take the grid penalties because I'm just that more of an aggressive driver compared to like Perez, so it hampers him more than it hampers me. It's Q1, then we go, and we're going through now, completing our first flying lap here as we go now in towards the middle sector here. A little bit of oversteer, actually. Catch the back end. Whoa! Hold the phone. We just went for a flip. How is it that in an actual F1 2020 My Team episode, I've managed to flip my car? It takes me ages to flip my car when whoa! Bit of a flip that brake marker board has got some springs on it, because that just flipped me into oblivion. Look at this thing. So I got wide on the exit of the corner, taking too much speed into there, got some understeer, went sideways. As soon as I hit that brake marker board, it just flipped me. And yeah, look at the velocity on the front wing as well. Surprisingly, no damage. I flipped my car, but it didn't damage it. I always try this for exploration videos to flip my car. It takes me ages to do it. I'm in my team, I'm doing a hot qualifying lap, and I flipped it. So yeah, if you're wondering why the title and the thumbnail is a flipped car, I genuinely flipped it. But I went ahead and called my car off after that flip and flipped in a brand new lap time of a 1 minute 8.7 to get me through into Q2 quite comfortably. And what was positive actually was Sergio Perez in Q1. If you have a look in just a second now when I go through this tier list that I've already completed, we are 3rd and 4th, solidifying. We've got some very, very good pace. But of course, this is a very short circuit. And you can see that the gap between us and the relegation zone was 1.3 seconds, which is absolutely nothing. So if we'd lost 0.2 of a second, we were all the way down in like P10. So that just goes to show it. But as we go towards Q2, we're on our scrub set of soft tires that have had a bit of a flip. Speaking of a flip, oh, yeah, that's not very good, is it? What is it with me in qualifying around Zandvoort? Not only have we flipped in Zandvoort, which is just mad, we've also carried too much speed in there, and we've rolled the car, we've spun the car into the wall. That was very close. My teammate Perez there collecting the back of me, but we recuperated again, and in towards the end of Q2 now. We had our chance to set one flying lap. We've got to do this lap and get it good if we're going to get through into Q3, and do we get into Q3? Yes, we do. By P9 there, we managed to get through into the final round of qualifying. But what was actually quite scary was that I wasn't as quick as I was in Q1. I was a 10th shy. So, I mean, we were 4 tenths off of Bottas, and we still just about got through into Q3. So, pretty mad that we managed to make it through. But we did what we had to do, and we make it through into the final part of qualifying. So does Sergio Perez. Positive signs ahead. Now in towards Q3 we go. Oh look, I've actually got through and completed a lap without crashing. What a surprise. We come across the start finish line. It's a 109.3 scrub set of soft tyres. Nothing really doing for that one. But my next lap in Q3 was by far the best lap I've ever driven around Zandvoort. So I'm going to shut up now, and I want you guys to just go ahead and watch the lap because I loved every second of it. And as we crossed the start-finish line, it was my best lap of the weekend. It was a 108.1, and it put us in second place on the grid. After flipping my car in Q1, spinning and crashing my car and breaking my front wing in Q2, to in Q3 putting in an absolute stellar of a lap time. Bottas managed to sneak pole position though with a 107.9, but genuinely, I cannot stop watching that lap. It was probably one of the best laps I've ever done on F1 2020, maybe in F1 in general. I just hooked it up. You know, when to me, that lap reminded me of Lewis Hamilton in Singapore in 2018. That lap was special. This lap, it didn't get me pole position. Bottas got pole position. It was clear because the AIs around Zandvoort, they're always quicker than you in the middle sector. As soon as you finish the end of the first sector and then you go into that little complex of corners before the second DRS zone, the AIs are always much, much quicker than you through there. There's nothing you can really do about that. But it was just such a... It just felt so good to go around there. And as you can see then, it's a Mercedes front row lockout. Obviously, we do have our grid penalty to contain with. Also, as well, this is the first video where we're racing on the new 1.6 patch. So we do have the black Mercedeses. So as you can see, with us starting second place, we dropped down to P7 with the 5-place grid penalty. So we don't really get hampered too heavily. If we can get a good start, which we tend to do anyway, we are pretty much back to where we were. Obviously, the aim is going to try and be to get a podium. I think we've got enough performance to do that. So we're going to try and go for it. Of course, the car is working an absolute treat around here. And also, also, as well, to put that lap into perspective, we're running with our power unit number 1, and the ICE is already on like 65, 66%. We've got quite a worn engine in there as well, so yeah, we'll make it do with it. But anyway then, onto the grid now. Let's get this race underway. We've got 5 red lights, and it's lights out we go here to start the Dutch Grand Prix. It's been a good start for Lewis Hamilton on second place in the grid. He gets past Valtteri Bottas into turn 1. We've already got past Sergio Perez as we go in towards the first corner then. Going to go around the outside of Verstappen now, and we do so on the exit there. Bottas, though, comes back at Hamilton now, but in towards the end of this portion, we've got ourselves in front of Sergio Perez, and also in front of Verstappen. Perez there, scrapping away with Ricciardo as we're now trying to find a run on Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari as we breeze our way on through. But so far, so good. That's 2 positions gained off the start line there, and we're now right back in the mix with Ferrari and Mercedes, and not getting held up by Verstappen, by Perez, or even getting a bad start in general and letting these guys escape. But as we go on to the closing in to the end of the first lap here, we're getting onto the back now of Leclerc. This portion here, this little chicane, the AIs are at their absolute weakest. Vettel there with a little bit of a tank slapper, and that's cost him a bit of time. Leclerc tries to find a way through. We're going to go towards the outside line now and see if we can find our way back past the Ferrari man, even though we never lost a position in the first place. We're trying to get around the outside of the banking corner, super tight there. Leclerc actually gets loose on the exit and the banked corner. He's now not got any slipstream as we make the drag race now down towards turn 1. We've got to be careful because I had the slipstream of Vettel, but I didn't want to get boxed in and break late. But we swoop around the outside of Leclerc, and we're up into 4th place then. And next up the road is Sebastian Vettel in P3. And at this moment in the race, that's a bit wide there. We are literally in full fight mode. I want to get back up to those Mercedes cars and give them a run for their money, because this track, unlike China where I managed to win that Grand Prix last time around, this track I've got genuine dry weather pace. In China I didn't. I was defending for all my life. Here, though, I am absolutely rompers. Vettel there gets a little bit wayward on the exit. Yet again, Ferrari struggling with rear grip now. But as we go in towards this little tricky portion of the circuit, trying to set up Vettel for an overtake somewhere, but I just can't quite get that acceleration off corner. But now we're going to use some ERS here, closing up on the back of the Ferrari. But now as I'm using my ERS, I realise that Vettel was using his. So there was no point in even bothering to use it as we go in towards this portion on the lap here. And this is where the airs are at their strongest. So it's very, very hard to close in through here. You can just see how that Ferrari automatically scoops clear. But luckily, that advantage is sort of wiped out as we get towards this section here. As we go on to lap 6 now of the Grand Prix. Vettel is just a little bit further back now from Lewis Hamilton. He might still get DRS here off that Mercedes, but crucially, we are much closer now to the Ferrari driver than we've ever been. And now, he does have DRS here, but let's go on the attack now as we go down the long pit straight now in towards the first corner, getting closer to the back of Sebastian Vettel. Going for it now, down the inside on the Ferrari driver. Late lunge there on Vettel. He'll try and come back at me on the inside, but we can take that outside line, swoop on through, and we're up into 3rd place now in this Dutch Grand Prix. A beautiful section of overtakes there as we get past Sebastian Vettel with a lovely late lunge, clean of contact as well. Let's blast off into the distance as we're now going to try and chase down Lewis Hamilton, who is now in the lead of the Dutch Grand Prix. Bottas has already come in for his first stop of the Grand Prix. Bottas might just be doing a 2-stopper in this race, unless he pitted a lap early. If so, then that's fine. That's a big tank slapper there from Lewis Hamilton. We get one of our own versus the Mercedes Mapper in towards the sector last corner now. We'll go around the outside of Lewis Hamilton, and that one little mistake that Lewis has done has cost him dear, because now we take the lead of the Dutch Grand Prix, and I decided to go for a little bit of a strategy swap here. I was scheduled to pit on that lap that I'd just overtaken Hamilton now, but I knew that I was going onto the hard compound tyres, and oop, that's a little bit wayward on the curb there. I knew that we were going onto hard compound tyres. Now, cast your minds back to the Australian Grand Prix. What happened when I went a lap longer? I got a massive overcut, so I'm banking my buck on the exact same thing in doing a big overcut. Now, as you can see on the minimap there, Lewis Hamilton is actually out behind one of the McLaren cars there, so let's see if we could try and rejoin in front of them then. That's a little bit slow, guys. Come on, pick it up. Oh dear, my teammate Perez is coming in the pits. He's going to get held. Whoops, never mind. You know, worse things happen at sea. As we now come out of the pit lane here, crucially, as you can see very, very shortly, we are in front of that queue of cars. I mean, we were going to be in front of Hamilton anyway, just because, of course, we leapfrogged him by overtaking him on track. But Sainz 1.7 seconds back. Yep, that's worked perfectly. Leclerc is stuck behind Sainz. Hamilton is stuck behind him as well. And now we can chase after Bottas, who's on the 2-stop strategy and is our main rival. But he sets the fast lap of the race so far on a set of soft tyres. Don't worry, mate. I'll go on a set of hard tyres and beat that by a couple of hundredths of a second. So we managed to do that. And now we're putting the pressure on Bottas. But unfortunately, lap 16 of the Grand Prix, and my main rival in this Grand Prix, Bottas, is out of the Dutch Grand Prix. I had to lift up the throttle there to avoid contact with the Mercedes car. But absolute heartbreak in this Dutch Grand Prix as my only real challenger is gone. He's out of the race. He would have stopped for medium tyres and he would have been flying towards the end of the back end of the Grand Prix. And yeah, that's an absolute disaster for the Mercedes man here today. He was really, really strong, and probably, like I said, he was the man that was going to chase me down. As we've got a yellow flag there. That's one of the Ferraris that's gone wrong in the background there. So I think Ferrari have got an issue with engine failure of some sort. Let's have a look then. So we're on board with the Ferrari. This is Vettel now, and oh, it's another tank slapper in that corner. The airlines get caught out very, very often through there. And Vettel with a bit too much power appliance on the exit here. There's a queue of cars. These are all stuck behind Sainz. There they go. Oh, it's a little bit of tank slap there, and then he stops the car, and then he thinks, let me be normal and put the car into overtake to go back onto it there. That's not the best idea to do, but for me, though, I decided to go and set a new fast lap of the race so far at 1:10.7. But crucially, Sainz started this Dutch Grand Prix on the hard compound tyres, so he's doing the hard soft strategy, and he's just holding up the drivers. And by the time he pits here on lap 26, that gap to myself and Charles Leclerc that was 1.3 seconds is now 10.4 seconds. So, big ups, oh, yellow flag there in the back. I love having a full track map on because I can just see everything that's going on yellow flag wise. Let's go have a look. This is Sainz here, who stopped for soft tyres, attacking my teammate Perez on hard as we go in towards the exit of the first corner. That's a little bit wayward on the throttle there. Really getting anxious on the power deployment. Everyone is in this as he breaks down towards someone. Let's see if he uses some ERS here on the exit. I'm looking for that bar, and it doesn't really show me that bar there. I think he may have put a bit of ERS on him there. And that compromised him dearly. Lap 32, we've just set the fastest first sector of the race so far. We do have another yellow flag, and unfortunately, it is my teammate Sergio Perez that is out of the Dutch Grand Prix. Leclerc is 9.7 behind, and that is my teammate Leclerc solidifying as it's a mechanical problem there. So it's not even an engine blowout. It's literally just something mechanical gone wrong on his car. He was running in P9, and he was clear of the Racing Point and Lando Norris, who's going through then. He would have got a P9 in this race, but absolute heartbreak there that Perez does miss out onto some points. But for me, though, I'm not missing out on any points. I'm not missing a single step. This track, I absolutely adore it. I love everything about Zandvoort, and we come across the line to take a well-deserved, dominant race victory here today. And I absolutely loved every single second that I was racing at this circuit. From the moment I hit practice to qualifying to the race, it was a joy. And this car is an absolute monster now. The only thing that we really need to work on is getting that durability up now. We need to work on getting a better gearbox. I need to increase the ICE, and I want to make sure that every single component on my car has got at least one upgrade for its durability section. If we can get that on, we'll then be able to become a real force. I am still going to work heavily on performance as well. I've already got my own plan in mind of how I'm going to work out my investment for the money in order to obviously keep Perez. In order to spend on the facilities and also to, keep the resource points stacking in. There's a lot that I know that I need to do, and there's a lot that I know that I'm going to do. So, yeah, there's a lot in mind. But it was an absolutely awesome Grand Prix as well, and really, really loved that. And forgot to actually say it as well. Big up Tyrrell Limitless, because I decided to try his setup around Zandvoort this weekend, and it was brilliant. So I'm probably going to end up running Tyrrell Limitless' setups for as many times as I can, unless I don't feel comfortable with it. Obviously, I think someone in the comments mentioned that they were running Limitless' setup and they liked it. So I was like, I might try it, I don't know. So for Zandvoort, I thought, you know what, sod it, let's just give it a go. Let's see what his setup is like compared to what I make. His setup around here just worked brilliantly, so I never changed it. If you're wondering what setup I used around here, just go watch Cheryl Limitless' Zandvoort hot lap and setup video and look at the setup, because that's the one that I just copied. So big up to him for that one. In the Drivers' Championship, we're on to 103 points now, which is actually a bit annoying because the challenge from my main sponsor, my Elephant, was to get 100 Constructors points in a season, and I've already done that after 5 races. I definitely should have gone for the one that said 300, but it is what it is. Constructors' Championship, Ferrari have actually overtaken us. Of course, Leclerc and Vettel both finished in the points, whereas only me scored today, and Perez didn't score due to a problem with the car. In terms of cutting those on my way through the field today, I actually didn't want to praise the powertrain this time around. The car was just bloody awesome. In terms of being ecstatic, yeah, I am ecstatic, and I mean they must be ecstatic because if they're being miserable, I sack them. I don't know why is that like my quote? It seems to become my quote in my team now. But looking at the rivalry breakdown, them to myself and Verstappen, that is a bit victory 5-2, which does mean we're now only 3 points away from beating Max, and that means that we can actually secure our second rivalry win over a driver next episode. All we've got to do is do well in quali and in the race, and we'll be fine. And that's obviously the Spanish Grand Prix, where last time around I actually won that race very, very dominantly due to an AI glitch. So I'll actually be interested to know what the proper pace the AIs is around Spain. I'll definitely probably be using Limitless's setup again to try and see if that really paves the way and sort of adjust it, because I pretty much used his setup and then made a few little minor tweaks myself. Pretty much keep it to his baseline though. But as we go in towards the headquarters now, we've got a juicy amount of resource points and money coming in. We've also got a sponsor that we can renew, which is Sudu, which is just to achieve a fastest lap in any session. I instantly just decided to renew it. I didn't want to get a brand new sponsor. I'm happy with Sudu as my sponsor, so what I'm going to quickly go and do now is re-put that onto the car, because of course the sponsor expired. Even though I renewed the sponsorship, it's not on the car, so I'm going to quickly go ahead and customize the car to make sure that that is put onto the car. So I decided to change it up a little bit, so I decided to put Laguna up there, and then I'm going to put Sudu where this Laguna was, because where this slot is here, it also goes onto the Halo, and I prefer to have Sudu on there rather than Laguna. So I'm going to put Sudu there as well. So now it's on the Halo, which just makes it look a little bit better, because I just don't quite like the Laguna on the top there. But the car looking absolutely brilliant, and unless they bring out a better livery, I kind of don't want to change it. Now, I know people could say mod it. I'm actually playing on Xbox. I don't have this game on PC, so I can't do that. But what we can do is quickly go ahead and redo the chassis upgrades to get that on in time for the Monaco Grand Prix. But guys, if you have enjoyed today's episode, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well. And I'll see you guys next time for the Spanish Grand Prix. Take care all. Peace.